We will take that. All right, so your pick is going to be, and my pick, I think, in truth, kind of deserves that, right, Russ? I really think that guy really is a great steward for Racers Elite. I believe that he deserves one, but don't forget Andrew Teff. He was 0-15 before last night. Now he's going to pick up that championship in the trucks, so he's going to be even hungrier tonight.
Yeah, but he's got his one now. Now it's time to spread the wealth and let Truth grab himself one.
So here we go. We are now in the restart zone, and Brandon Honeycutt is going to get you going here. 105 laps around Kansas Motor Speedway, and you can see Brandon really quickly already running about that middle line. Like I said, that bottom line, very, very slick if you go in down low. That apex of that turn, very, very slick. And it does look like he's going to be in tire-saving mode. Is now Cody Bonelli on the outside. He's going to be fighting for your top position.
Cody making an aggressive move early on in this race, looking on that top side, trying to take this lead away from Brandon coming out of turn 4, coming to the start-finish line to complete lap 1.
Cody Bonelli, we have seen him quite a few times. This is the third place in your points. There's not a whole lot that he can do, but he doesn't care. He's going for glory. He's going to stick this thing on the top, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, as now it looks like Cody's going to be able to make this pass, especially coming out of 4 here. It looks like Honeycutt is going to stick this 13 car down at the bottom. He's going to be in tire-saving mode right off of the bat. Cody Bonelli's not in tire-saving mode. He is in the come and get me mode right now as he rips the top. He is going to be your leader here on lap 3.
Yeah, there's nothing to lose. Let's let it all hang out tonight, and it happens.
I'll tell you, this driver here, Sean Dunaway, had a great finish last night. Now in 4th, 98. Look at this high point paint job on this car. Man, I mean, he is coming out. Yeah, he is coming out just geared up and ready for these races this week.
Yeah, he's another one of them drivers that has been on a bit of a hot streak, for these playoffs. He's got, wins in the Xfinity in the trucks, and he's definitely got momentum coming in here tonight. Bringing in that Chase Briscoe high point paint scheme may just be the ticket he needs.
Tell you, a lot of drivers use some new paint schemes. This 57 car in a new paint scheme, but he is going to set your fastest lap before this gentleman here in the 3. He's ripping the top. Troy Thomas, we saw him such a great car at Nashville Fairgrounds. Unfortunately, he ran into a driver in that 98 that was just dominant there. But he had a great run. Fast lap time last lap. So Troy Thomas turning this thing up early on in this race.
Yeah, up there on that high side, just letting her rip. And got a little trouble towards the back. I see Sean Dunaway with the 57 getting a little contact. But yeah, just up there on that top side, ripping the lip, as they say.
And I got to tell you, really, Russ, on this top side at Kansas, a lot of the times at iRacing, they really call iRacing a bottom feeder specialty, right? So if you really love, sticking that white line, you can save a lot of tire, lap after lap, stint after stint. That bottom line is going to be quicker, especially later on in the runs. Kansas is a little different. If you really take care of those tires, you can run that wall on that high side at Kansas and be able to be successful all the way throughout a stint. So this one is so unique in the fact that the bottom line works and the top line works.
Yeah, you can pretty much run either way that you want to run it, whichever you're most comfortable with. But a lot of times you see guys run that bottom line just to save a little bit of tire, and kind of afraid to go up top. Oh, you see the 3 there getting up into the wall coming out of turn 2. But, here, yeah, at Kansas, you can pretty much run either line. They're pretty equal as far as tire wear goes.
Wow, this car of the 3 really loose on entry as he drove it. Really what I would consider, and now, folks, we added this battle box down here at the bottom right-hand corner so that you can see when we highlight a driver who is in front and who is behind and what that lap time is. But I really want to pay attention to how hard this 3 of Troy Thomas is driving this car into the turn, especially in the 3 right here. Got a little loose earlier, and he is going to be a little easier, but you can see him really trying to straddle that seam. And sometimes, as you can see there, Russ, that seam stuck on those right side tires at night is going to get a little slick.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you hit that, it's kind of just like driving over the paint. It just gets you just a little on the looser side. Going to chew your tires up just a little bit as this race goes on.
So here we go, your bottom feeder there of Andrew Teff. That is the gentleman that is sticking that white line, is starting to track down this leader in the 19. That is your points leader, Andrew Teff. Man, you know he has put some practice in here. You know he wants to go back-to-back championships tonight as he's got this thing moving forward. Honeycutt's going to be right behind him, and Sean Dunaway there in fourth.
Yeah, Andrew, winning that championship last night, he got that monkey off his back, and he's coming in here with all the confidence in the world. So it's not surprising to see him already making a run up here towards this lead and wanting it. But you see Truth Hope, working his way up through there already too. He's up to P5 now. So these guys are just kind of settling in. We're 10 laps in. It's still 95 to go. It's time to start taking care of your tires, settle in just a little bit, and ride this thing out for a little while.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, but I will tell you now, it is going to be very, very important for both of these drivers to try to lead a lap, because that is a point. And so for everybody out there that's watching, a point is a position. So for instance, right now, we have a crash registered. Let's go back and take a look at Pete Polini and see what happened here to Pete. Oh, he's going to get that apron and get right up there into the wall. Oh, and it looks like he has just had enough of that thing already. But as we go back here, we talk about the points. Remember, this is 2 points. So that is 2 positions. Only 1 point that you get for gaining a spot. So right now, Andrew Teff is in second with Truth Hoke in fifth. So right now, that would be a 5-point lead for Andrew Teff to the championship. Now, if Andrew can get up here and lead, which it does look like he is going to be fighting for that, he is going to get that lead. He is going to lead that lap. So now that is going to put Truth 6 points or 6 positions behind this driver here in first.
Yeah, every single point matters, especially when it's only a 2-point battle right now. So, getting that lap led is what he really, really wanted. He wanted to get that bonus point as early as possible so that he could ensure that little bit of an extra safety net off of Truth. But I keep looking back here, and Truth's kind of coming a little bit, I think.
Yeah, Truth, the last lap ran a 31.58. However, Sean Dunaway is the fastest car on the track. That last lap with a 31.2. So it looks like he has found something. Now, he is hugging the bottom, too, so very interested to see how these tires are going to play out. We know Honeycutt now trying to make that pass for third. We know he's sitting back trying to save tires. He has nothing to gain. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need a point for leading the lap. He just needs to lead that last one.
Yeah, a lot of the, for a driver like Brandon, it's all about that checker flag. Just getting that one extra notch in the win column for this season, and I think that'll put him up to 2 or 3 or 3 or 4 for the season. So that's all that guy's looking for right now is just that checker flag. He wants another win.
Yeah, now let's go back here to this battle, and this is going to be for 7th place. As you can look now, Aaron Roth is in 7th. He wants to snag 6th. These two drivers, really, and Aaron with a fantastic new paint scheme coming out tonight. Really love that black and gold scheme. He is able to get into that turn a lot better than Lee is right now. Lee looks like he's struggling a little bit with that right front on entry, pushing him up about a lane and a half. And Aaron is just sticking the bottom of this track. As now I say that, Russ, he's going to go high, try to get a run off of this turn.
Yeah, the 60 might be overdriving that entry just a little bit and causing him to push up the track. But at 57, really hugging that bottom there for a while, really gained some ground on him. So looks like he's going to take a look there, but he decided not to. He's going to run that middle lane again.
Wow, just look how loose that car is in the apex of the turn.
I was just watching how loose he was there.
That is absolutely insane. You can hear him kind of double tap a little bit on that throttle. And Russ, really what you want to hear is smoothness when you're looking at these ovals. If you double tap, essentially what you're going to do is when you let off of the gas, you set all of the weight of that car on the front end. So it's matched turn on the front tires. When you double tap, you're essentially shifting that weight from the front tires to the back. So either Aaron Roth is trying to get that thing on that right rear, or, you know, he doesn't like the amount of turn that he's getting on the front end of this car. Either way, you know, you want to see that smoothness come in where you're rolling off of the throttle and getting back on the throttle so that you can anticipate the weight change, and that helps you in braking and it helps you when you start to get back on the throttle.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, a lot of times if you know, if you're not comfortable with the way the car's turning, you need it to turn a little bit more. You just double tap that gas just a little bit. Whoa, you see that wheel really flipping there. You know, you give that gas just kind of like that little double tap, and it just kind of kicks the rear end just a little bit to help you turn, but it's going to burn, like you said, burn that right rear up just a little bit too.
Yeah, and it's odd as now you can see him. He's going to get in the wall, so he's really fighting that car, all the while being super quick. We're going to go right back up here to Truth, because Truth now starting to bear down on the 19 of Benelli, so he has been able to save these tires. Honeycutt has now taken the lead. Let me see if I can go back and find when he passed for P1. Let's go back and take a look at this thing. Just getting
Brandon,
down to the bottom here.
Yeah, I was going to say, Brandon was making a charge there, and Sean was kind of following with him, and they trapped Andrew up on the top side, and they were both able to just kind of work their way right around Andrew, shuffling him back to third. So now he's only 2 spots in front of Truth right now.
Yeah, this battle is going to start tightening up. Now, I believe Andrew pushed a little hard. He wanted to get that lap lead. I don't blame him for that. That was the wise decision because it puts him one more position in front of Truth. Now he can sit back. Doesn't really matter to Andrew. He just has to make sure he is 3 positions around Truth to be able to bring home this championship tonight.
Yeah, it's all about, you know, that strategic finishing position. I mean, I'm sure both of these drivers are doing that math as they go around here, and you know, with their relative positions to that other driver, and they're saying, okay, you know, I got to be within so many. Oh, he let it lap. Now I got to be within an extra position. They're going to be doing this all night for another 85 laps.
Yeah, and it does look like the 55 of Truth starting to battle with Cody, ran up on Cody really quickly, and it does look like he's starting to slow down just a little bit, or he's struggling with the right front on that car. As you can see, and we talk about this all the time, Russ, following the tracks, the tire tracks of the car in front of you is instant death. What you really want to see is you want to see a driver be able to have enough turn to get a fender, just like he's doing now, a fender to the whole front of that car underneath. Cody is fighting that car through the apex of that turn, and I believe it was Nashville that we saw and really thought Cody was going to do great there, and he did that. He kind of had that car hung out the entire way around there, and it looks like he's going to do that again tonight as he is struggling right through the apex of these turns.
Yeah, almost that entire race at Nashville, we saw that 19 just struggling. Loose, tight. It was just a battle for that entire race, and it looks like he's starting to have that little bit of a fight right now with Truth on the inside of him looking to make this pass.
Yeah, now Lee Campbell has been able to distance himself from the 57 of Aaron Roth. That battle was super hot, now has cooled down a lot as Lee has been able to put some space on Aaron, but now he is on the march. He was able to get to the back of Cody, you know, as those two battled. Truth getting that passed on. Now Lee putting Cody under fire. Cody's just struggling with that car right now.
Yeah, he's running that high side, whether it's intentional or if it's because that thing is tight on entry. I mean, he's clearly loose on exit. I mean, you can see that rear end wanting to snap around on exit. But, you know, if he's really tight getting into the corners, that's no bueno. He's going to be pushing up there and running that high side unintentionally all night if that's not what he's trying to do.
Yeah, you can really see that car just yawed out, what we call yawed out, and that's where the rear of that car isn't following the front end of that car as quickly as it should be. So you can see the front tires of that car really below that seam while the back end was above that seam. So you can tell how loose this 19 car is as we go around this track. So essentially, Russ, I would think as we're looking at this thing, that is a product of being up top early, getting that grip up there. So as this race goes along, I believe Cody needs to take note of that and say, this bottom line is where I need to be, as Honeycutt and Dunaway starting to pull away from the other drivers at this field, as they now are just sticking to that white line. It seems to be that's the tire saving line tonight.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. It's like anybody you see running up on that top side, they're falling towards that back. The bottom, wrapping that bottom, really coasting through there. It seems to really be saving the tires. And Honeycutt's trying to check it out at this point, just over a half a second in front of Sean. And that's where he's running. That's where the preferred line seems to be tonight.
Yeah, but I will tell you this, the 98, getting those laps led a little bit earlier on in this first stint, has now started to put himself back on the bumper of Sean, and it does look like he is really working that center seam. So he's really centering those tires across that lower seam in both 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, starting to gain a lot of time on Sean. So he's found a little something after getting those extra bonus points that I think is really pushing him up, because as we look now, Truth is behind Andrew in the 4th position, but that thing's not going to get it done. He's going to have to lead this thing, and Andrew's going to need to have some problems here if he's going to bring this championship home.
Yeah, it could also be that Andrew found a 5th gear when he saw that red Wrangler car in his rearview mirror. He said, I need to go.
Absolutely. And go he has. Those drivers now about a second and a half in front of your driver right here in Truth Hoke. And, man, what else can we say? We talked about him a little bit last night with the Truck Series and what Truth has been able to capture this season. And it might not be lightning in the bottle, Russ, but I will tell you, it is certainly several steps forward for him, as we've seen that progression where he's kind of got some of that bad mojo off of him. I've actually talked to Andrew a little bit about Truth, and he tells me, hey, he said, this is not surprising for me because I know what Truth's capable of. I've seen him in other simulators and what he's able to do. This doesn't shock me at all that he's running this good.
Yeah, we've talked about it quite a few times. Truth has had those, unlucky breaks, earlier on in the season, and then in the back half of this season, he's come on like I don't think there's a driver on as such of a hot streak right now as what Truth Hoke is. He's picking up wins in the Truck Series, picking up wins here in the Xfinity Series. He picked up a win in the Cup Series on a couple, or was it last week? On Thursday nights. This guy has all the momentum in the world on him right now. He got that monkey off his back when he picked up that win a couple of weeks ago, and he has not looked back since. So, like Andrew said, it's not really a surprise. He knows what he's capable of, and Truth's finally starting to show.
Speaking of Andrew, picking up that 2nd place from Sean Dunaway, and let's see if we can go back and take a look, see what happened here, as it does look like Sean just not able to pin that car down to the bottom. Andrew was able to get underneath of him, and that is an easy pass there for Andrew, as we're going to go back live now, and we'll continue to watch these lap times, but it does look like Honeycutt able to save these tires on this 13 machine about 1/10 to 2/10 faster. And I'll tell you, we haven't really talked about, Brandon, I do watch a little bit of Twitch. There's a lot of drivers that run Twitch. Brandon does not have a Twitch, but I watch some other drivers, and you'll see Brandon a lot. He's, I believe now his IR is about 3,900. So he's up around that 4K, which puts him in that top split a lot. And I do see him, on the relatives for a lot of those drivers. And I can tell you, Brandon is just one of those drivers to me that finds a spot that he can run. And, as you can see, he's going to get loose. He's going to come down to try to pit. And listen, I will tell you this, Russ. If that wasn't the fastest intentional pit, that is the best accidental pit that I believe I've seen.
Yeah, he definitely did not back that pit entry up at all. He brought it in hot, and Yeah, if he got down to pit road speed, that was just a fantastic pit entrance right
Let's see what Aaron Roth did here in the 57 as he's going to come down pit road. And this is what Honeycutt did not do. He had to stop. Oh, he's trying to beat that commitment code, Russ. That is going to be just terrible for a driver that had a great run going. But it does look like all of these drivers are going to try to cut this thing in two. So they're going to come out and two-stop this thing. As you can see now, your race leader, Andrew Teff, coming down, leading yet again another lap. Truth Hoke is going to follow him.
I was really surprised to see Truth follow in behind Andrew right there and not stay out maybe one more lap. You know, maybe he couldn't on fuel, but I was surprised that he didn't stay out for one more lap to ensure that he got that bonus point for leading the lap tonight. You know, maybe we'll see that on that second stop, but really surprised to see him follow Andrew in the pits.
So now as we cycle back around, Andrew now starting to come out of the pits. You can see him there on the apron of the track. That is going to put Honeycutt as your leader. Sean Dunaway, and we talk about Sean a lot and really his skill in being consistent and safe, you know, but we miss sometimes, Russ, the speed that this driver has sometimes. And, you know, really he is one of those drivers I think is really cerebral. He will start to get better as the race goes along, as these stints go along. He starts to learn the track a little bit more, learn the other drivers a little bit more, and gets faster and faster as these races go along.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we kind of dub him as Racers Elite's Mark Martin, you know, Mr. Consistency, because he's you know, a lot of times he's right up there in the thick of it, you know, but he really clean, really smooth. You know, and like you said, he's kind of cerebral in some aspect. You know, he's always really kind of focusing on what's going on around him, what his car is doing, what he can make his car do. And, you know, we see him up here again, and looks like he might be starting to run Brandon down just a little bit.
He was a little bit quicker because I think Brandon has that set-in rhythm that he wants to have here at Kansas. I do believe that Sean's a little quicker earlier on in these runs, so it would not surprise me if he comes up here and challenges for the lead. Brandon lets him go, as Brandon, it seems like, has a game plan on what he wants these tires to be when he gets into these pits.
Yeah, we say it time and time again with Brandon that he's so methodical with his tire strategy and fuel saving and all that. So, you know, yeah, if Sean gets up here and just kind of blows his doors off, it wouldn't be a surprise because Brandon's probably in tire saving mode. And then, you know, 15 laps from now, we'll see him right back up here battling to take this lead back.
Yeah, you can see he's going to get closer and closer now, Sean Dunaway. Now, I will tell you that it did look like, you know, that last lap, Sean really gluing himself down to that white line. It looks like Brandon has decided to keep himself up about a lane and a half, and then start to cut down a little bit. But I can tell you what I like out of Sean here is Sean is exiting the turn a little bit lower. And what that allows, Russ, is it allows Sean to not have to turn left when he gets against the wall on exit. And what that's going to do is help him save that right front, save the snappy loose throughout this race. Now 43 laps in to 105 laps.
Yeah, just kind of wrapping that bottom, like you said, and you know, trying to save that right front as much as possible. You know, it's definitely gonna help him out in the later stage of this fuel run. You know, be able to have a little bit more tire there at the end of it.
Here he comes. He is getting closer and closer. This is your tightest battle here. Just 2/10 is going to separate Brandon Honeycutt, Sean Dunaway. Sean, so aggressive, so good throughout the truck and the Xfinity series. Would be great to see him out here leading a few laps. I do believe Honeycutt has a plan. I don't think this is going to be a massive battle because I do think that Honeycutt has a tire-saving strategy, and he's going to let this thing work out. As now you can see, he's going to get up to that high line, allow this 01 to get on the bottom and make that pass. They're going to come side by side here on the front stretch. There is a little triover here, Russ, and as these runs go along and that right front starts to wear down, that will become an opportunity for those drivers to either, one, stay wide open, or two, if you have really abused those tires, they might have to let off there in the trioval.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you don't ever really think about that tri-oval, being that much of a concern on tires, but you might as well make it into a fifth turn in a lot of these tracks because as these laps continue to wind down, you see Sean down there running on that apron now. It opens up. I was just gonna say it opens up a kind of another lane. So you kind of look at it as like a fifth turn almost, where you can still make passes by going down there on that apron.
We saw this driver here in Aaron Roth in that 57 make that small, slight mistake getting onto pit road. He will have another shot at this thing if it goes green. Now getting passed by Curtis Ecker. We haven't talked a whole lot about Curtis, but we have in the past, Russ. And I think this driver, he's got to have a really bright outlook at what's going to happen in season 7. He's been able to find a lot of speed. He's had a couple of podiums. I believe he had a back-to-back podium in the truck and the Xfinity car a few weeks ago. So a lot of potential in this driver. Really look forward to seeing what he's going to do here in season 7.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of said, especially on the truck side, is he's probably one of the more improved drivers that I've seen this year. So for him to be running the way he has in the end stages of this season, yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to bring into next season.
And just what we thought, Dunaway being able to get that pass done on Honeycutt. We saw they were side by side for a while. That pass being finalized. But again, I guess the question is, how well did Honeycutt save? Is he going to be able to sit back now? Now, I will tell you, Andrew Teff come out of this thing about 1.8, 1.9 seconds behind these two drivers. He is now within about a second and a tenth. As we look now, 1.8, 1.9 seconds back. So he is coming as well. This quickly could become a 3-car battle for the lead. But if I'm Andrew Teft and I'm looking and Truth is in 6th, how hard am I pushing this thing, Russ?
Yeah, I'm not really pushing it that hard at this point. I mean, I think I saw Truth have just a little bit of trouble shortly after that pit stop. I don't know if he got tight or what had happened. He was really up there, kind of really close to the wall. I don't think he made contact with the wall, but I don't know if if he was struggling just a little bit right now or what. But yeah, I'm looking at my relative. I see him back there, almost 7 seconds, behind. Yeah, I'm just kind of settling in and cruising at this point.
And it does look like he is going to now be within a second. So he cut a 10th out. Honeycutt's got to be looking back to Andrew thinking, I need to really push this thing. And you can see him start to get super aggressive on the back end of Sean Dunaway. He's going to want to get out in front of Sean so that Andrew doesn't come and make this a 3-car battle here for the lead.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Sean's kind of gone into a little bit of a tire saving, but them two are obviously running just a little bit slower than what that 98 is. So, if somebody doesn't get going, that 98 is going to be there in a quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Inching closer now, only 7 tenths from these drivers, 8 tenths now, as Honeycutt and Dunaway continuing to fight for this lead. It does look like Dunaway has really resigned himself to that bottom line. He looks really good tonight, Russ. I do think that Honeycutt on the longer run seemed to have the better tires in that first stint, but I love the line that Sean's on. It does look like he's got a quick car tonight. He has got that thing glued down there to the bottom, just looking like he's going to walk away with this thing.
Yeah, just wrapping that bottom really well, and forcing anybody that's going to make a move to make it on that high side, which we've seen work and we've seen it not work so far tonight. We're approaching halfway in this race, and as long as he keeps wrapping that bottom like he is, it's going to make it hard for somebody to pass him as these laps wind down, get more laps on these tires. It's going to be harder to pass him.
We're going to come back here and take a look at your driver in this 55 in Truth Hoke in 6th position. Cody Benelli's right in front of him. He is going to try to creep himself a little closer to Andrew again as we are now halfway through this race. he is going to have to make up a lot of time, and Andrew's going to have a pretty big problem, or we're going to crown back-to-back championships for Andrew Teft in that truck and in this Xfinity car.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Andrew can just keep his wits about him, I mean, it's going to be tough, you know, for Truth to work his way back up there. I mean, unless, like you said, unless the 98 has some kind of a big problem, or, you know, there's a flag of a certain color that's going to put Truth right back in the thick of this. But, I mean, we've lost a couple of drivers so far already tonight, just deciding to load it up and take it home. You know, so these positions are getting far and few between for that 55 car. So, you know, he's going to have to try to hope for something to work out in his favor right now.
Yeah, it is going to be pretty tough, Russ, as I look at this thing. He's about 6.5 seconds back from Andrew, who is now in third position. We're going to go back and take a look as Cody Bonelli still fighting Truth there for that position. But you can see now Andrew has caught up to the back end of Brandon Honeycutt, and it looks like these drivers getting closer and closer together. This driver in this 98 machine, not only is he saying, I want to win this championship, but he is also saying, man, I want to win this race.
Yeah, I was just going to say, too, you know, another thing you could be going through his mind, too, is, you know, he's seeing these cars dropping out of this race, loading up, going home, and he knows that it could be a matter of only a position or two. You know, maybe now he's thinking, hey, I need to get up here and I need to lead the most laps of this race and get those extra bonus points added on there as well.
Man, I will tell you, he is getting closer to closer. And for all of those folks that are watching, I do apologize a little bit here for the production. We are battling some really nasty storms. We are out of the Nashville area. So, you know, we hope our internet is going to stay alive throughout this thing and get this thing done before the end of it. But we're going to try to not click on this thing as much as we normally do and stick around with some of your leaders because we want this internet to be able to stay along with us throughout this race and the remainder of it. So as we reset this thing, Russ, you know, your top 10 here is Dunaway, Honeycutt, Andrew, Campbell, Hoke, Bonelli, Ecker, Roth, Thomas, and Pellini, and with Pete being out for the night. So there are only 9 drivers in. Does look like Troy Thomas is down on pit road. So this thing is starting to look a little bleaker here for Truth if something doesn't happen pretty quickly.
Yeah, it's you know, it's showing Troy on pit road, but he is loaded up and gone home. So there are now actually only 8 cars on the track right now, Joe.
Truth still battling. He has now separated himself a little bit from Cody behind in that 19, starting to run down Lee Campbell. And I'll tell you, Lee has had some really good runs this year, really fast on the long runs, has shown up. I look for a lot of good things from Lee next season. I believe he's going to be able to run all of the series, which is going to be good for him here in season 7, as he's going to be a truck driver, Xfinity, and next gen.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he showed a lot of speed and, you know, real good, you know, racecraft, if you will, you know, over the last, you know, last half of the season or so. You know, we've been talking about him more and more, just kind of finds himself up there, you know, like you don't really see much of him, but he just happens to find himself up there. And that's something as a driver that, you know, has got to make you feel good. You go back and realize what kind of a race you had. You know, it's like, oh, well, you know, I was up there running, you know, 4th for a while, or, you know, it's just one of those things that goes into that progression. Like you said, you know, with him running all 3 series next year, you know, it's only going to benefit him more and more the more he races.
Does look like Andrew Teft in the 98 starting to fall back just a little bit. He was up to about 7/10 right behind the back end of Honeycutt. Now starting to fall back as he's burned a little bit of those tires off. He had a little fresher tire than what the 01 and the 13 did. He used that to get up there. Now starting to fall back. And just like we talked about a little bit earlier, Russ, I feel like the 01 and Sean Dunaway has a great line. Hooking that lower white line is starting to show I thought we would see Honeycutt be able to come back with a little bit better tire wear. That's not the case here. Sean really putting on a great show, sticking this thing to the bottom line. Man, he has got a fast little hot rod tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we said, he's just kind of really able to wrap that bottom, better than what maybe Honeycutt's able to, and it's just making it that much harder for Brandon to really, catch up to him. And Sean's getting really good runs out of the corner, which is allowing him to really kind of put a little bit of a gap. If Brandon was to close it in on corner entry, Sean was able to get it back on corner exit. So he's getting a lot better corner exit than what Brandon is. But Brandon's getting a little bit better corner entry right now.
Yeah, and I could assume, Russ, we're probably looking at 5 to 7 laps to be back into that window for the very last stint, very last pit stop here for this season. We're going to come back, take a look at Truth into 55 as it stands. Truth sitting in 5th. Andrew is in 3rd. If this race were to stop today, right this second, that would put Andrew Teft as your winner here for the Xfinity season in points season 6. Truth is really going to have to come up with something. And when you think about this, if you're Truth, Russ, do you think, let me take 2, let me do something crazy, it doesn't matter for me, I'm pretty safe to have a second place finish in the points to Andrew, let me take 2, get out in front, make that time up, and give this thing a race?
I don't know if I would go 2, but I was literally just going to ask you, what if you were in Truth's shoes, you're back just a little bit there, would you maybe try to undercut Andrew and maybe come in a lap earlier than what you would originally, and try to cycle this thing out as a leader and get your lap led and put yourself out front?
Well, I can tell you this. He is now in 4th position. Lee Campbell getting past there. That's going to put Truth into 4th. So I guess to answer your question, Russ, I am 8 seconds. I'm 7 seconds back from Andrew, 8.5 back from the leader. I have to do something drastic. If I do undercut him, I might be at 2 seconds, even 3 seconds at the max, faster and be able to get out ahead. But I need to come up with another 4 seconds. If it's me, I'm right sides. I'm just rolling the dice. It's the end of the season. Who cares? Caution to the wind. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a heck of a season. You put yourself into this position. We've seen it time and time again in real life. In NASCAR, guys are in these really close point battles coming down, and you got these crew chiefs that are racking their mind of what kind of wild things can we do to try to give ourselves that advantage. And two tires might be the play here for him, just to see what he can do, and he can make something happen. But see what he decides to do when he comes down pit road here.
Yeah, and now we can see Brandon Honeycutt deciding to take that top line, having enough tire to get this past Sean Dunaway. However, I will tell you, like we just talked about, there are pit stops coming, not only for the 13 and the 01, but for every other driver here with just about 5 or 6 laps. So what I can tell you is, if this thing plays out, both of these drivers get on and off of pit road well, there is going to be a battle for the lead at the end of this race, because these two drivers are so tight in times. Sean is a little bit quicker, about 3/4 of the run. Looks like Brandon a little bit faster on the back quarter of the run. But man, if you're only, like, when they start to come in and pit, you're going to see there's only going to be a 10th or 2 between these two drivers by the end of this stint.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing of it is I'm actually really surprised that Brandon was able to make that move for the lead. I was watching him for the last couple of laps as we were talking, and he was crazy loose on corner exit, quite a few laps in a row. So for him to be able to get up on that high side and make that pass after, stepping that rear end out for a few laps in a row, that's really surprising. And he's starting to pull away a little bit from the 01 or Sean Dunaway.
Yeah, you can see the pit stops are starting now. As you can tell, Brandon Honeycutt, Sean Dunaway, both of those drivers coming in. That's going to turn that lead over to Andrew Teft. He is going to stay out at least one more lap. not only are they in, but Cody Bonelli is in. Lee Campbell is in. You can see all those drivers there on the left-hand side. Aaron Roth under pit. So when it says pit, that is exactly where they are. These are going to be your two leaders when this thing cycles back. So let's just watch this race off of pit road. Obviously, the 01 is going to come up a little bit quicker because his pit stall is a little bit sooner than what Honeycutt's, although it looks like they're going up at the same time, Russ. I believe Honeycutt's going to have a fantastic lead coming out of this thing.
Yeah, he's probably going to have a really decent. He got on and off really well. He's probably going to have a really solid lead, like you said. And Andrew Teft on pit road right now, and so is Truth Hope. So, I mean, Truth again choosing to follow Andrew into pit road. I mean, I would have maybe stayed out a lap later and then maybe done that two tire. But I mean, he's going to have to pull some kind of a rabbit out of the hat now because he needs to lead that lap and get this win to be able to secure that championship.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, but until you said it, that's a really good thought. As now you can see, Curtis Eckert trying to get himself down pit road, getting a little loose as he touched the apron there with the left-hand side of the car. But I didn't think about it until you said that. But, you're absolutely correct in the fact that maybe Truth at that point should have stayed out for one more lap, get that bonus point, put them back within 2 spots of each other. That way, you're back to a level playing ground before you started this race, and then you can run this thing out to the end.
Yeah, it's just, like I said, it's super surprising to me that, Truth didn't decide to take a gamble there and stay out an extra lap, or, it looked like he decided to go with 4 tires. So, there goes the 2-tire idea. So maybe it's just kind of like the status quo for Truth at this point, and he's perfectly fine running second, to Andrew at this point for the championship. Who knows? We're not in the mindset of Truth Oak right now, so it's going to be, we'll see what happens here in about 30 laps.
Well, if we go back to this thing and look at the pit stops, and this is going to be in the box, out of the box, 15.7 seconds for Honeycutt. Sean Dunaway, 16.5 seconds, 16.6 to be exact. So it looks like maybe Sean with a little bit of checkup there in the box are slow to get in. Andrew Teft at almost a 15 flat. Cody Bonelli at a 14.53. So it does look like to me that your second place driver, Sean Dunaway, really struggled on and off of pit road. That gave about a 2.5, 2.6 second gap to Honeycutt. And I think he's really in this driver's seat here now, Russ, to the end of this race with only 29 laps to go.
Yeah, I mean, currently sitting at with a 2.4 second lead over Sean. I mean, he could basically save his tire a little bit, and just kind of manage that gap, and he's going to very easily walk away with this win here tonight.
Truth Hope now starting to get under fire a little bit by Lee Campbell. Lee shown a lot of speed tonight, about a half a second behind Truth, as Truth is trying to track down Cody Bonelli, who is about a half a second in front of him. So all 3 of these drivers fighting for about that 4th position. This is 4th, 5th, and 6th on the field here. As now Cody, which just, man, he can will a car. Looks like he really bursts those tires up a lot quicker than some of these other drivers do, and he's having to drive that car sideways throughout the majority of these runs. But from a driver that slipped all the way to the back on that second stint to find himself back up here in 4th, Russ, really great compliment to him and what he is able to do as a driver.
Yeah, for sure. We've talked about it multiple times this season with him. Not afraid to hang that car out and really drive it as hard as he can drive it. And we're seeing that again here tonight. Just really putting the power to that car, and just kind of saying, hey, whatever happens. But yeah, for him to burn them tires up early on, fall to the back, and now work his way back up to 4th, that's definitely a testament to his driving ability.
It really is. And really good run for him, starting on the outside for this race. Again, shown a lot of speed all the way throughout this season. Really good to see him now. As you can see him getting into the wall just a little bit. but really good to see him put this thing back up to fourth. And it does look like Truth, as we're going to kind of go around here and look at Truth, starting to narrow in on this driver. Cody running that middle to high line, especially on exit, and you can see there, and I think that is where Cody's growth is going to come from, which is where he just really starts to focus on how he can exit these turns and keep these tires underneath of him. And it does look like Truth starting to narrow in now, only 24 laps to go in this race.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see what Cody's capable of doing next season. I feel like he's another one that's kind of developed and learned a lot through this season. So, moving ahead into next season is going to be interesting, and I wouldn't put it past him to be able to come out here and put up a win or two next season.
Now it looks like Truth starting to put some pressure on Cody. He is narrowing in on this back bumper. I do think, Russ, this is the best the best start of a stint so far for Truth, as Truth has been battling his way up to fourth. It looks like he's going to get that done with about 23 or 22 laps to go. So he's made a great pit stop. He's a little bit quicker than what he has been in the other stints to get himself up to fourth or on the back door of fourth. A little bit quicker in this stint, but man, it is just too much, too late. He's going to give it all he's got. You know that he will, but unless a caution comes out, I do believe that Truth's going to have a great run. But man, this is all Andrew Teft here for season 6 of this championship.
Yeah, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth right there. You're talking about Truth having, basically the stint of the race, right now. But yeah, just, too little too late, it seems like. He struggled there earlier on, just not able to find the right speed to keep him up there with Andrew. And Andrew's just been able to kind of comfortably run his own race. And man, you see Truth going to get to the back of Cody Pinelli right there. Andrew's just kind of been able to mind his own race and really hasn't had to worry too much about Truth here tonight.
Yeah, and that has really hurt both of those drivers, as now Truth is going to get into the wall. So Cody Pinelli coming out, getting into that wall. Truth not really having a whole lot of places to go back into the left rear quarter panel of the 19. You can see that damage. Not a lot of damage, if any, to the front end of the 55, but it looks like the 55 starting to struggle right now on the exit. That dirty air not being really good for him. That's allowed Lee Campbell to start to sneak into this battle here, as we have now a three-way fight for your fourth position.
Yeah, I just kind of wonder if that wall slap there didn't kind of hurt Truth a little bit, making him a little on the tighter side. You see him up there on the top side. Cody's not going to give him the bottom, but you can kind of see him, Truth kind of pushing just a little bit, and then he got a little loose right there. So I just wondered if maybe he didn't knock a little bit of toe out of that car when he slapped the wall there a little bit ago.
It is possible, or knocked him a little bit out of rhythm, because that will happen to a driver, and it'll make you push a little bit more. As now they're going to get a little tighter, almost touching here, door slapping as they're coming out of 4. Truth trying to work this high line. I believe this high line is just a smidge loose for him. As you can see that car start to cross up a little bit on exit. Now it looks like he's started to nail this line. Has not been running that all race long. What was about a 7.5 second gap between him and Andrew Teft in third now is starting to grow to over 10.5 seconds throughout this battle here with Cody Pinelli.
Yeah, having to really fight for a position like this side by side with a driver for multiple laps, it's going to slow you both down. And not being able to make that pass a lot sooner really has kind of hurt all 3 of these drivers. Really over these last couple of laps, it's really slowed them all down.
Yeah, and you want to see Truth and Cody and Lee, for that matter, start to think about the big picture here. 17 laps. If you're Cody Pinelli, you're a little off pace in the fact of, you've hurt the tires. I understand the desire to fight there, Russ, but I also think at 17 laps to go, you're really behind the 8 ball. So if you continue to slow both of you down, it just gaps the entire field for you. As now Truth is going to be about 10.5 seconds from Andrew. However, that's going to allow Lee to get back up to the back end of this 55 and try to make this thing a battle here for fourth.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about bigger picture. It's kind of a shame, but to say, but it's also you got to look at that, that championship implications. I mean, you're like you said, you're kind of fighting your car right now, but yet you're holding up, Truth just a little bit and making it that much harder for him to go fight for this championship. I mean, it's racing, it's come to be expected, but I know how frustrating Truth has to be right now too.
15 laps to go. Honeycutt getting that pit stop done on and off so much quicker. And what that does, Russ, it just makes Sean have to push that car harder and harder. A second on pit road is the same thing as a second on the track. Brandon able to get on and off in a fantastic way, put a good gap between him and Sean. And all really Brandon is waiting on is now you can see him get a little loose and free as he's going to carry this freeness all the way around that turn. But the only thing that Brandon is hoping for is let's just wait to the back quarter of this run. And I've been faster the back quarter of every one of these stints. That's all I need to see here. What is now an 0.8 of a second lead as Brandon is starting to get that right rear a little hot here, Russ.
Yeah, after that last pit stop, came out at about a 2.5 second lead there on Sean, and Brandon just kind of minding his tires and running his own race there. But over the course of this run, Sean's worked his way back up there, and now, we see Brandon starting to get just a little bit loose, and that's gonna put Sean right back in this battle with only 13 laps to go.
You can hear the tires screaming on the right-hand side of this car in the 01. As this does not matter, the points do not matter. Honeycutt wants to snag another win. Sean Dunaway wants to get a win so that he can really talk about what's going to happen to him next season. Starting to run this driver down, which was about 2-second gap, now only 7/10. We have 12 laps to go. You can see Honeycutt pushing that car, putting that car on the right rear, little loose through the center of the turns, starting to fight a loose condition on exit as now the 01 is creeping up ever so slightly, which was 7 seconds, now only 6, about a 10th faster, Russ, every single lap.
Yeah, we got 11 laps to go, and you do that math, a 10th a lap and 11 laps to go, at 1.1 seconds, that's going to put Sean out in front of this race if he can get up here and make this pass. But, just slowly chipping away, little bit by little bit, each and every lap. That's all you can do at this point.
Sean decided to go a little high in 3 and 4. That's very interesting. As you can see, Honeycutt is trying to maximize each one of these lines. It does look like Sean is deciding to move up. Man, I don't know. He was clipping away about a 10th of a lap faster than Brandon before he decided to make a change. Now it looks like he hasn't been able to chip away at all in that lead. Maybe Sean moving lines a little too soon. I think what was working for him is probably what he should have stick with. Now 7/10, almost 0.8 of a second are going to separate these two.
Yeah, Sean lost almost 0.2 of a second right there on that one lap alone. So I think he just realized it because you see him right back down there on the bottom.
Yeah, sometimes you don't fix something that isn't broken. Sean was really clipping away there on the 13 every single corner. You do see him stuck back down to the bottom, and my goodness, what could have been, Russ, because what ballooned up to 0.8 now back down to 0.6 with 7 laps to go.
Yeah, he just needs to keep that thing glued down there to the bottom because that's where he's gaining his time on Brandon. I mean, there's still time for him to get there. He's got to go back to making it, a 10th or 2 every lap. And right now, it's just kind of stabilized.
Stay smooth, stay quick. Brandon thinking the same thing. Hit my marks. Don't get loose. Dunaway thinking just hit my marks, don't get loose, as both of these drivers coming off of 4, coming to this 7 to go. Now that gap about 7/10 of a second, so a little bit quicker lap time, a 32.46 to a 32.5. Honeycutt a little faster that last lap.
Yeah, and it could have been just like what we were saying earlier with, just kind of managing that gap. Let Sean get up here a little bit and then pull away, and then let him get back up there and pull away. Conserve those tires, and he's got 7 laps to get this thing done, and he may be able to turn it up even more than what he's got right now.
We talked about what could have been, Russ, what could have been for this driver in the 13 had he not have to miss that week. Now Sean trying to search around. Brandon is going to get extremely loose in the center of 1 and 2. Sean's going to go up top and lose another 10th or a half a 10th, going to gain it back onto that backstretch. But man, I'm not certain that this top line at Kansas is going to work for these cars, as it seems like this Xfinity at night, a little bit too much moisture on this track, just a little too loose for these drivers.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of proven all night long, that top lane really wasn't the fastest line all night. It was kind of that bottom, Cody or Sean kind of proved that all throughout the night by just sticking that Hello Kitty 01 down there on that bottom line, and he's been fast all night long with it. And now, he's up there trying to search for something different because, he's just not able to get anything on Brandon at this point.
Yeah, getting extremely loose there on the exit of 4. That is going to really kill his opportunity. 4 laps to go. I will tell you, cap off here to Sean Dunaway. He's trying everything he can do to get a win tonight. Just can't find the grip. He's went to the top. He's went to the bottom. He even ran the middle through 1 and 2 right there. Just not able to find the grip that he needs to close in on the back of Brandon Honeycutt. Brandon looking in great shape for yet another win. We're going to come right back here to Truth and Lee Campbell, as Lee now only about half a second away from Truth. 3 laps to go. Truth starting to struggle a little bit. It looks like Lee got loose on the exit of that turn. Is going to extend Truth's gap here by a couple of tenths now at 0.8 of a second.
Yeah, Truth, I mean, ultimately, he had a really good race here tonight, and you can't take anything away from Truth in this championship battle. He put up a hell of a fight against Andrew, coming into tonight, and this coming in here with a 2-point deficit, he put himself in that position, and just unfortunately, just not the night that he needed here tonight. But caps off to Truth Hope on a phenomenal season, tonight too. So
yeah, and listen, he might not have had it tonight, but this driver right here, as we are 2 laps to go, we are going to get this white flag as we come around. He missed a week through these playoffs, but man, he is back and in a big, big way, leading this race. He was your pole sitter tonight. He has found a way to get around Sean. Those two with a great run all the way throughout the night. He got his opportunity through that pit stop to find himself back out front. Couple of seconds, save those tires to the back quarter of this run. He is going to bring home your last race here at Kansas Motor Speedway of Season 6. Brandon Honeycutt bringing home the win.
And then Andrew Teft's going to bring it home P3, and he is going to win your championship for the Xfinity Series.
Burn it down, Andrew Teft in that 98. The 98 truck bringing home the championship Season 6 last night, and then bringing home the Xfinity Championship tonight. So, my goodness, Russ, a gentleman that was blanked out 0 for 15 here in this league, now going back-to-back in the truck in the Xfinity. What a great Season 6 here for Andrew Teft in the 98.
Absolutely, and he's not necessarily out of the fight for the Cup Series tomorrow night either. He's going to need a Hail Mary, to get it done, but definitely not out of it tomorrow night either in the next gen.
Congratulations to all of these drivers, and that is going to be the end of your race. We're going to pop it up here as we're going to show your drivers. Brandon Honeycutt bringing home the win here at Kansas, the last race of season 6 in the Xfinity Series. Sean Dunaway in second, Andrews in third, Truth fourth, Lee Campbell in fifth, Cody Bonelli sixth, Curtis Eckers seventh, Aaron eighth, Troy in ninth, and then Pete and Clinton, both of those drivers taking it to the hauler pretty early in 10th and 11th. So let's see if we can bring up some of your drivers. We're going to go back here because we want to try to hit this before we get ourselves our internet goes down here, Russ. So let's see if we can find some drivers. It's been one of those nights here in Nashville. We want to make sure that that we can get all of your drivers in and have a conversation with them before our internet goes out. So let's see who we have here in the waiting booth. And let's see if we can pull in your second place driver here of Sean Dunaway. We're going to move him up to the booth right now. Sean, this is John and Russ in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep, I got you.
All right, so I apologize about having to pull you in a little bit early. We're a little worried about some bad storms coming through Nashville. I don't want to lose internet connection before we can get an opportunity to talk to you. But looked like you had a great car, about 2/3 of a stint. Looks like you were faster than the 13. That back third of the stint, the 13 a little bit quicker. That last stint, he was just a little easier, little quicker on and off of pit road. But my goodness, what a fantastic race by you.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely messed up that last pit stop. I went a little too far forward, so I lost a little time there. Yeah, if only that pit stop, yeah, I would have been a little closer to him. I feel like we would have had a pretty close ending there. Then at the end, I was trying out every lane I could. Nothing was really working. I was starting to get the high line to actually work a little, but then messed up a little and lost some time there. So unfortunate at the end there, but hey, we'll take the P2 for sure.
Yeah, and you'll see it as you go back and watch the broadcast because, I talked about that where I thought that you probably slid through the box just a little and it didn't take long, just a half a second that allowed the 13 to get out because I felt like your line was really good, just hugging that white line 2/3 of that stint. Brandon would save a little bit, but you would be a little bit quicker for the majority of a stint, and then he would come back at the end. And I thought you would have a good battle, but listen, I got to tell you, some fantastic podium finishes, not only here but in the trucks. It's been a pleasure calling you, pleasure talking to you throughout both of these series. What can we look for next season from you? And two, we'll let you give your shout outs.
Yeah, for sure. We got 2 wins during this Xfinity season. I would definitely like to keep that momentum up. Um, and then, of course, the chase again kind of threw me off. I got taken out at Daytona last weekend, so I was pretty much out of the chase there. So hopefully, I can keep up with the chase next time around here. Try to make it to every race here. And yeah, I think that's what you'll expect from me. And then, I want to thank my wife, my mom and stepdad for always watching, and then my cats for always trying to ruin my race.
All right. Well, we certainly appreciate it. We'll get you back and let you party and celebrate on a great podium and some fantastic things to come. Only a couple of weeks before we start season 7. So we will see you back in action very, very soon.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
So there is your second place driver. And I'm going to pull up not only your third place driver, Russ, but your championship winner here in the Xfinity. And I'll let you go through the interview there throughout this race. And then you and I will both tag team this conversation with him on being able to win this championship. So, Andrew, yet again, John and Russ here in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, hey, man. All night long you came into this race knowing what you had to do to secure this championship with truth, and it looked like you just kind of got yourself in a comfortable position, and you're kind of just keeping an eye on where he was and what he was doing, and was just kind of running your own race, just trying to be smooth and do whatever it was that you could do to just maintain that gap. and you had a heck of a run. You're bringing home P3 here tonight, and you know, got to say, 0 for 15 going into last night. Now you're 1 for 16, and coming in tonight, now you go 2 for 17. Andrew, back to back, double champion so far right now in Races Elite. Take us back through your race, through your season, and tell us your thoughts.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head there. Just tried to have a smooth race. I wasn't sure who was going to be strongest at the front. After we ran a few laps, it got a little bit spread out, and realized I had a little bit of something for the long run at least, and was able to kind of build a gap. And it seems like once they lost the draft to the top three, they kind of started to trickle back a lot faster. And um, once we got spread out, I was just kind of focused on having a safe race. The biggest threat for me tonight was if Truth won the race, because of that 4-point difference between first and second. It's hard to make up for even if you finish second. But that didn't happen, and in that case, I was just hoping to finish a couple spots ahead of him, and it worked out.
Well, I gotta tell you,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna jump in here, Russ, because I gotta
all right ahead.
I'm super excited about the fact that not only did you win the truck championship, but here you are at the Xfinity, and let's not forget you are only what 10 points out in the next gen for tomorrow. So like Russ said earlier, you might have been 0 for 15, but my goodness, what dominant performances not only in the truck but in the Xfinity, and we have an opportunity to go back to back to back in these three. So just walk me through what it has really meant to find that speed this season. I believe you really killed everybody in the short tracks, been the more dominant car in the short tracks in all three of those series. So walk me through what we can look forward to tomorrow.
And I think my biggest weaknesses were my restarts and I guess just short runs, and I tried to work on those a lot. It seems like that's helped, and uh, yeah, tomorrow's going to be a lot harder. Diego's been running really well, and he's been tough to beat. And I think there's a 10-point gap tomorrow. Tonight it was just 2, so I think I would have to probably lead all the laps and prevent anybody from getting any bonus points, and win the race and hope Diego, and I think there's somebody else in front of me too, finish, I don't know, toward the back of the top 10. Maybe then I got a shot, but um, asking for a lot there.
Well, I will tell you, you've really put on some fantastic performances, not only in the truck, but here in the Xfinity. I mean, one of the ones that sticks out to me is Nashville Fairgrounds, and really the just dominant performance that you put on there. You've really shown what it is to be a great owner here in this series. Just not only in all three of these series, but every single night, Racers Elite has something going on. So if you want to do that, make sure that you reach out not only to Andrew here on Facebook, but you could do that on the website as well. And Andrew, we're going to turn it over to you, man. Let you give your shout outs. Fantastic job. Winning not only this, but the truck series. And man, what a great week here.
Yeah, thank you. I want to congratulate Brandon, first of all. He had a really great season too. It's too bad he had to miss a race. Would have liked to race it out, but I think all he needed was like a top 10 that race. He would have been right there. So that's unfortunate, but congrats to him on winning the race. And I want to thank my family, friends, team, you guys for putting on the broadcast. Everybody that tunes in to watch, shows up to race. I want to thank our servicemen and women. Kensley for doing my paints over at KS Designs. You can find a link right on the homepage of our website, which is racerselite.com, for all your paint needs. And yeah, like you were saying, we got a brand new set of seasons starting in a couple weeks here. So just head on over to the website, racerselite.com. You can grab yourself a Discord invite, shoot me a message on there, and we'll get you set up for any of these 3 series. We run Tuesdays through Thursdays.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to add to that, and Russ, I'm sorry for stealing all your thunder here, but the last thing I want to add
Oh,
to
you're
that,
good, my friend.
Andrew, is if you think about it, I haven't done the math, but if you added up these past 3 weeks in all three of these series, the amount of cautions that we have had, if you want good, clean, quality racing, this is the place to go. it would be less than 5, I would think, at the total amount of cautions that we had. So just fantastic job to you for being able to put this league on, and great job here for Tuesday and Wednesday. No matter what happens here, you are the champion, season 6 in the trucks and season 6 here in the Xfinity. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so there is your championship winner, your third place winner, or your third place podium finisher here tonight, Kansas Motor Speedway. Russ, the last thing that I want to say here as we get out of here, I want to throw a little intro music and outro music as we go. Is, my friend, it has been fantastic to call this race in this entire season with you in the Xfinity, in the trucks. We will not be back next season, but my goodness, have we had a blast this season.
Yeah, for sure. Like we said last night, anybody viewing in last night, we're friends outside of Racers Elite, and it's been a blast being able to call these races with you. Thank you for asking me to come in and join you and to do this 2 nights a week. And yeah, not going to be back broadcasting next year, but you're going to see both of us on the track Tuesday nights and Thursday nights with Racers Elite. We're going to be getting on with these guys each and every week. So make sure you tune in and watch us run with these guys.
So for me, for Russ, I want to say good night. We appreciate it. Congratulations again to Andrew Teff for being your championship winner here in season 6. I can't say that enough. Great job by that driver. Russ, we will see you out on the track very soon.